Attention, please.
And now, it's Cutter's Rockcast.
Josh Katz from Badflower. Dude, it is good to see your face.
There it is.
Strike a pose. Strike a pose.
That's what they do these days. It's this thing. Like, here I am.
While we were waiting to connect, I had the opportunity to catch up on your Twitter feed.
Yes.
I wish
Sorry.
I didn't have.
Yeah. It's been so obnoxious lately. Like, dude, I'm going crazy. What do you expect? Like, I don't have a social life. That's all I get.
Just Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, at least during the pandemic, you guys have been able to kind of hold up in a studio.
Yeah, like random studios at times. Yeah, sort of. But I mean, so much of it is me alone because the band kind of gets in and we work together. And then once their parts are in, then it's me just like stressing about everything and making sure lyrics are right and vocals are right and like that whole part of it. And that's a very time consuming and emotional, lonely process for me. So yeah, I spend a lot of time doing that.
You got your pups?
Yeah. We got dogs, we got horses. I'm at the farm right now. I'm in the farm studio.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Tell me about this. You're an LA guy and now you're in, you're Nashville area, right? And you have a farm?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did this happen? Like, how did this come about that you decided to have a farm? I mean, I know you're a big animal rights guy, but
yeah, it's been a dream for a while. Like I never really fit in LA. Like I was born there, but being in music, there's no real LA scene. What little of a scene there is, like I don't collaborate with anybody. I don't do anything like that. So, and I've tried, and it's just not for me. I prefer like solitude and being like a lonely creative guy. And yeah, I've just always wanted land. I've just always wanted a lot of land to like have animals and be loud and obnoxious and do whatever I want. And so the idea of Nashville, because it's where the music scene is. So if there's any music scene, Nashville is like a good place to be. But then also you can go just any direction outside of Nashville and end up somewhere in random Tennessee where you can get like a lot of land that's affordable. Right. So that's what we did. And there's a couple of us that did it. It's not just me. Like I didn't buy this place by myself, but
I was gonna say, but by yourself, that'd be.
But it was a wild idea that just like we were in the pandemic, we knew we were gonna run out of money anyway. We were like, well, before we spend it all on food and like whatever, let's put a down payment on some land. Let's just do it, and we did it, and it's been amazing. And now we're finally like. I had to build a studio, and so I just built this room that I'm in now out of a barn. We're in a barn, and I did it by myself, and it was a blast. And then I used the space to finish the album, and now we're talking seriously about getting some cows and saving some animals and doing all the stuff that we really want to do. Right on the cusp of like about to go on tour, we're like, oh, well, look at our big tour schedule. Let's get some cows. Like, let's go. Because we're just insane. We're just children in adult bodies who are acting like children.
You have to let me come see the cows when that happens. What you may not know about, I grew up on a dairy farm. So
I didn't know that.
We had all the cows and did all the milking, having to give birth to calves. That's very interesting as a 8-year-old boy, put the glove on and do the thing. I named him, and then we'd have to send him to the butcher.
How did that make you feel as a kid?
As a kid, I don't know. It was just kind of part of it. It sucked. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but we also had probably 100 cows.
Yeah.
So, it was part of the culture here, man. It was part of life,
No, totally. It's part of the culture. It's part of the culture and life for a lot of people, especially like people in our area. Mm-hmm. Who are like the sweetest, nicest people. And they've been so helpful because we're just like a bunch of LA people who have no idea what we're doing. And everybody's been so helpful, like helping us figure out how to run a farm, how to drive a tractor, like how to maintain do all the stuff. And they all know why we're here. They understand like, hey, everything, all of our closest neighbors have like dairy farms and cows. And we can like peer over and see all the animals, obviously, because it's not like, other than like the Tyson farm that's down the road, that's some sketchy shit happens. I'm not into that. But for the most part, it's like these animals are being treated really well. It's clear, like, and that's really good to see, because I don't know how I would do if it was like, if I was right next to the Tyson farm without but farms like that, factory farms where they're like really just awful to animals and they shove them on, they don't let you see in.
No.
They never let you see them. So, but anyway, these people all know, like, hey, we're like trying to do what you're doing, but without all the animal exploitation. We just want them to be happy and live. Like, that's it. And they're all supportive, and they all get it, and they're all helpful. So it's been really great.
That is, again, dude, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Life's too short. It's too short. And at a certain point, we were just like, we've had these ideas in our heads forever. Like, if we don't pull the trigger now, when are we going to? Like, if we don't just decide we have to do this, at a peak of like, we can't make any money, we're literally just losing money, but we're like, who cares? This is life. Life is short. I would rather go broke doing something that feels important and is like truly fulfilling than waiting around and not doing anything.
I've always believed, and maybe because I grew up a poor kid, but I've always believed that's more important. You're richer in that than you are.
Oh, absolutely.
Money.
It makes you happier.
Money disappears. Money comes. Money is. It just is. But if you have those experiences and those life things that makes you feel full and happy,
you
can replicate that.
Yeah, so that's what we did. We were just like setting up an infrastructure for, for that side of life, for that kind of life. Anything outside of music, because pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, it's like, this is a crazy vain job, business industry, and it's
what do you
just
mean? No, it's not.
You know exactly what
on the
I
up
mean.
and up.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like, I love it. I'm an egomaniac, and I love every second of it. But I also find that I'm sometimes like my most depressed when I'm like really living that life and like embodying that character. And so I've just given myself an opportunity to like take a deep breath. And when I go home, it's not going home to like my trendy LA spot where I'm still like sort of like shopping at Whole Foods and showering for it. So if anybody sees me, I'm like being a social, like none of that. I'm just like, I got my, when I'm done with that life, or at least when I have a break from it, I go and I'm like just driving a tractor around and hanging out with animals. Like that's it. And it's the best.
You said something that intrigues me because, being that character, so to speak, how different is it for you to be that guy, to be the lead singer of the rock band on tour, singing the songs, people screaming your name, versus who you are in real life?
It's all genuine for me. Like they're all just different versions of myself. And I can't neglect any of them or I end up unhappy. So for example, if I just like quit music and was like, I'm just going to go rescue animals and just do that and stop, that wouldn't make me happy either. Right. I'm still searching for a balance of like all the aspects of myself, all the aspects of myself and like the ways that I need to like fuel myself with energy and with things and whatever. And I'm just like, I'm still searching for them. I don't know exactly I don't have a recipe for my happiness, but I'm certainly like getting a lot closer by doing things like this. And so it's actually easy to balance all that. Like I start to feel like I've had enough of this and I need to go just be an idiot. Even with like social media, I'll not say anything. I'll be silent for like a month and not say anything. And then I'll just jump right back in and be a total like asshole. Like just be whatever. And that's fulfilling this thing that I like clearly have been missing. I've been missing that aspect. And yeah. And then sometimes I take that too far and I'm like, I don't like myself right now. I'm going to shut off from this and like be this guy. I got to be better.
Well, and we started obviously talking about the Badflower Twitter page, but those are all you, right? For the most part?
Yeah, entirely me.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So what did you mean by the album's done, but no, it's dumb? Dude, man, all of a sudden I started seeing headlines about Josh says album's done. Oh, wait a minute. No, like what?
There was somebody
Josh is on Twitter again.
I don't know if it was radio.com or somebody, like some publication wrote something about, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just being sassy and stupid. I mean, really the album is done.
Right.
It is done. Like there's a couple things left to do. We won't get it mastered yet because I'm like, if at the very last minute there's something I want to change, I don't want to I'm not ready to commit just yet, but it is done. And that's kind of what I mean by all that.
Okay. The sound, the songs, I mean, let's dig in a little bit, man. So 30 obviously, is what it is. F the world. I mean, real positive here.
And it just gets worse.
I was just gonna ask that. Okay.
Yeah, it gets a
Dane,
lot worse.
This is the trip we're taking.
Honestly, both 30 and can I say F
You can say
on whatever one? Yeah, both 30 and Fuck the World are they're neither of them are tame, but there is some stuff on this album where I'm like, those songs are that's like PG compared to some of what we're doing. That's like easy listening. I think we took I don't know, that there's moments of it that are really genuine and sweet, and they don't feel like I don't know. It's all aspects of my personality, but anyone's personality, where sometimes you're in this mood and sometimes you're in that mood. And it's also playing out a lot of dark thoughts, as I always do, as I've always done. And something in particular about this album that I'm really proud of, but also that I hope it's received well. I mean, I can't predict how people are going to receive it, so it doesn't matter. Like, but what I'm proud of about it is I felt like in this amount of time while writing it, I wasn't really the victim of anything. Like, I felt on Okay, I'm Sick, I felt like I was the victim of myself. I felt like I was the victim of my mind because I was so anxious and still trying to understand what this anxiety was, why I was starting to become successful in all the ways that I wanted to, and yet it was making me more unhappy and more depressed and more anxious. And there's this like core feeling on that whole album of that, and trying to understand it. And really a lot of it is sung from the perspective of the victim of all this. Even though I was putting it on myself, I still was like the victim. On this album, I'm not really the victim of anything. And so a lot of these songs, I went down this hole of writing myself as the villain and realizing how like we're in a very odd culture right now with the internet and everything. And it's all like, it's all the most positively motivated stuff. But it's getting to a point now where everyone is becoming victimized in some way and placing blame on somebody else. And it seems to be that we're rewarded for that behavior in ways that is kind of brand new to this society or this generation or something, where, you know, whether you're the victim of something or you're sort of lashing out on behalf of somebody else who is the victim of something, which inherently makes you the victim of it just by seeing it and being offended by it. It just, there's a lot of this that I'm seeing back and forth, and a lot of it's valid, and a lot of it feels like this is just now behavior that feels like it's rewarded, and so people are doing it more and more, and it's becoming very hostile and weird. And I haven't connected with much of that, seeing it. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not the victim of anything. And I also feel like, where did this like moral high ground come from? And all, like, how are all these people literally Jesus Christ? Since when are we all meant to be Jesus Christ? I thought, like, I'm not. I'm so flawed and so imperfect, and I wouldn't be able to write the songs that a lot of people like if I wasn't flawed, not just the victim, but I fuck up. Like, I say dumb things, I think dumb things, I think bad things. We're completely human. I think this album, I really went far with that, and I started recognizing these certain personalities of people who are constantly just being berated on the internet, or the types of people who are doing the berating, and just seeing like the villainous qualities of people who are trying so hard to be these like moral, like the benchmark of moral superiority or something. And it's just exploring my own evil qualities and coming to terms with them. And by doing that, I'm finding like, there's no way that anybody could actually claim to be a good person unless they can recognize all of the evilness inside of them that they're able to suppress or they're able to fix or reconcile in order to be a good person. If you just consider yourself here all the time, once you start to become a little bit mean and evil, you'll never know it. You're just always going to walk around thinking. So I think it's important for people to do that. And I think I'm hoping that this album, as much as it's going to trigger a lot of people and may possibly make people upset at certain points, like, I don't really care, because I think it's an important topic. I think it's important for all of us to recognize that anyone that we see that we're calling out for their behavior and how awful they are and what a terrible, member of society you are, like, that could have been any of us. Any of us could have been that person, born in a different family, different circumstances, different upbringing, different morals. And it's very hard to change that stuff sometimes if that's what your community supports. And not enough people are recognizing that. So I really like that about this album. I like that it's not like a woe is me, I'm sad kind of album, even though it's so fucking emo. It is so emo and clever in a lot of ways, but it's not just like, everyone's whatever. There's
obvious.
Well, it's just not taking the victim role the entire time, or really at all. It's like, this is me being human. This is me seeing and recognizing all of my flaws and recognizing them in people and maybe like sort of exploring the perspective of those people, which is nothing new for me. Like I look at songs like Mother Mary that was one of our much older songs. I'm like, I've always done this. I've always sung from the perspective of like the villain, because I'm fascinated by like seeing those qualities in myself. I'd never do something like that. I hope I never would. I don't think I ever would, but I'm certainly fascinated by it. And I think that fascination alone tells me you're capable of anything. You're capable of the worst shit. So how about you recognize it and don't put yourself above anything or above any behavior, and know that you're human and you can go any direction, every decision you make. You know what I'm saying? Oh, sorry. I've just had a lot of coffee. Now I'm like really rambling about it.
No, you're fine, because it's such an interesting point. I mean, it's the, good people are obviously still very capable of doing very bad things. That is a real thing, and you see it every so often, Well,
I just don't think, I think even the concept of good people, now we're almost getting into like religious talk, which I'm not a religious person, but the concept of people being
I've done religious talk with one rock star already this year. That's my quota.
You got it. Well, I won't actually go into religion because I have nothing to say on it, but I know that it's talked about in religious discussions, like humans are inherently evil, or some people believe that, or some people they're inherently good or neutral. I just believe humans are inherently completely neutral. And there's no such thing as a good person. Like everybody has bad qualities, and somebody's bad qualities to this group of people might be their best qualities, and to that group, their bad qualities. And we're seeing that so much now that we're so connected on social media. We're like, this whole group of people believes they're morally superior. This whole group of people believes they're morally superior. Who's actually morally superior? Nobody, because there's no such thing. It's just varying degrees that make sense in societies as societies change.
I mean, you think that way with religion. You think that way, obviously, what's come to forefront in the last couple of years with politics, all of it. I think most people, I mean, you sit there and you waver kind of in the middle and go back and forth, depending on the situation and depending on the thing that you're worried about at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Nobody's extreme one way or the other. And if they are, then those are the people that truly need help, I think.
And that seems like a lot of people. That seems like a lot of people these days, doesn't it?
It does.
Doesn't it feel like there's a lot of extreme talk from all over the place? And you're like,
yeah,
have you thought yet, or did you just like check the internet and be like, ooh, they'll like this? You know what I mean?
Fucking scary.
It's really scary. I know. I agree. And again, it's like so much of it is from the best place, and like you want to cheer it on. You want to cheer on like any forms of activism when it's so clearly the right thing. But then you're like, wait, but have you thought about whether or not this version of it is actually helping the situation or making it worse? And not enough people are thinking about that. And because I see people getting really people on all sides, all walks of life, whether it's politics or social stuff or anything, people are just real on edge and hateful, like ready to just spew hate, and real judgy. A lot of judgment.
Oh yeah.
It's just interesting. It's interesting, and it's like a sign of the times. And the youngest generation is very different, and I embrace that because I know the generations above me. I can like point out all the ways. I'm like, well, that's the way that you guys thought, and then me as a millennial, it's like we think different. It's a different world that we're gonna be running. So this is the way it is, and so I like. When I look at some of that behavior, I'm like, should I just shut my mouth? Like, even though I'm seeing some of this stuff, like, at what point should I shut my mouth and be like, that's their world? Like, I'm 30 now. Obviously, it's still very much my world. So I will have my opinions. But there's still a degree of that where I'm like, go off, go do your thing. But it gets scary when it like, it feels like people are getting violent, intense, and And it's for so many different reasons and in so many different sides of so many different groups. It's just, this overall feeling. And then when you really stop and analyze humanity as a whole, you realize how much more we have in common than these differences that we like to poke at each other. I'm like, this is a little absurd, isn't it? Like, if we all just took a deep breath and like talk to somebody who you have extreme opposite views with, but just one-on-one calmly, you'll probably realize you have a lot more in common than you think. And you just disagree on the approach to get there. Right. And that's really what it comes down to.
Dude, I've been saying that for years. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I and obviously I'm a few years older than you, but so I as kind of that middle between Gen X and Millennial, I have a lot of friends that are in their, you know, mid to late 40s. I also have a lot of friends that are in their 30s and even 20s, especially being in the music entertainment industry. It's so weird, the different conversations. And I'm a big vet supporter, and I have been since I got into media, because my brother was in the Marines, my uncle was in the Army, you know, just go on down the line, best friends that went overseas and never came back. And so I've always been a big vet supporter, but I'm also like, you know, I lean a little bit with you. So the last few years have been really interesting, because it's like, I see all my friends, or I shouldn't say all, but a lot of my friends and these guys that I'll ride motorcycles with, and we'll go to charity drives and do toy drives and all this stuff with, that are all like, Trump and blah, blah, you know, it's whatever.
Yeah.
How did this guy get you fired up? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And then it's like, well, you're a liberal fuck. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm just, I don't like this guy, and I don't understand why you do. So tell me, like, have the conversation with me. Oh, fuck you, and walk away.
And then have you ever had the conversation with somebody who says something reasonable and you're like, God damn it, I don't want to admit that you're being reasonable, because I'm not supposed
I talked to
like
a business owner. It was specifically about that subject, because I talked to a business owner, and the business owner made a very great point, and I'm like, shit, you're right.
I know, it happens to me too, where I'm like, I hate that you made a good point, but I also just can't be that person. I can't be that person who's just like, well, I don't care. This is what I think. Like, because I hate that behavior. I hate that behavior from anybody. If somebody makes a good point, it's a good point.
Exactly.
But it's just, you know what it is? It's just, we're being challenged, and almost rightfully so. Like, we're being challenged as individuals. Our individual thoughts have become less important, and the group thought has become the dominant force. And in so many areas, it's doing so much good that it's hard to call it out. It's hard to say, like, hey, stop. You know, it's like, I don't really know where I stand on anything anymore. And that's kind of my position. Like, I don't know where I want to find a home, or like a group, or like a place where I can really, I have felt like that in the past, where I actually had ground to stand on. And now it feels like I'm sort of floating, which is which a lot of people hate as well. Like, that's a hateable quality. You're like, oh, you're a centrist. Well, no, don't even stop labeling me anything. I'm still thinking. Like, I have a lot to think about. There's a lot of information being thrown constantly, and I can't just be one of those people who's just like, well, this is what my group says, so it's what I say, and fuck you if you don't agree. I'm just not that guy.
Good.
But I love
more people that aren't that guy, you know?
I think so too. And that's kind of what I'm trying to inspire with some of this, and I hope to inspire it, you know. And if it doesn't inspire that and I just get canceled, then whatever. I went out trying. I went out like being as genuine as I could. So who cares?
Yeah, dude.
And I won't get like, and the thing is, because when I have conversations with people, like face-to-face, one-on-one people, I'll bring stuff like this up, you know, people on all sides, again, politically, socially, all of it. And it's always the same thing. It's always like, yeah, it is a little extreme, isn't it? Yeah. Like, hey, do we kind of have the same opinion on just like the outcome that we want to see? Like, we all want to see the same outcome. Yeah, totally the same opinion. So we're really just fighting about like, how did it get so bad? How are we fighting so heavily over just like the way to get there? Mm-hmm. That seems so strange. And then now the groups are fighting internally with each other, and it's all a bit much. But I don't know how to think about any of it. I just know that people are assholes, and we're being rewarded for shitty behavior, and I hate it. But
at the same time, you kind of want to go do some shitty behavior, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, you know, it's like it's like this, and this is something I thought about a lot. Like, I wrote the song "Die," and I like have not changed my opinion whatsoever on anything that I said in that song. But sometimes I think about it, and I'm like, do people know that I genuinely hate Donald Trump personally for myself, and not just because the group that I attach myself to hates him? Like, I hope they know that. I hope this isn't just like a ploy, like, look at me, give me likes, give me likes on social media for being a leftist. Like, no, give me likes if you so choose for hating Donald Trump all on my own merit.
Nope,
I decided that all by myself. You know what I mean? Like, appreciate me for my individual thoughts, and then call me out for my individual thoughts when they're shit, because oftentimes they are. And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
And that's where we get a new Badflower album.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and also, mind you, not all the songs are about this stuff. It's just this. There's a lot of this because I spent the entire year, like, in quarantine, just like glued to the internet, like anybody else, and that's been my source of inspiration. I'm just like soaking this shit up and getting information and learning about people and learning about myself and you know, learning about different subsets of cultures that I didn't know existed, and things start to get pieced together and make sense about why we behave the way that we do. And I will never crack the code on it at all, and I haven't. I'm not even attempting to, but it's certainly an art piece reflective of that in this time.
And answer me this, and then we'll talk about some live music.
Okay.
Just got to make the
Sorry, I do this, dude. I've been doing this a lot because I spend so much time alone just creating about it, and I don't actually talk about it. And then as soon as it gets brought up, I'm like, spew it out.
It's okay, dude. It's okay. There are a couple songs on "Okay, I'm Sick" that are very uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know, specifically like "Daddy." Like there are songs that are hard for me even to listen to. As much as that's one of my favorite albums that come out in the last decade. On this new Badflower album, and because you haven't announced anything, I'm not going to bring up like, what's the name of it? When's it coming out? Any of that. But is there, are there songs like that on this? Because again, that uncomfortable feeling, and it's something we just haven't seen a whole lot in music, especially recently, where there are songs that make you feel that uncomfortable in a certain way, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But you were able to do that with a couple tunes. Are we going?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
But never this, like, I didn't touch on the same subject like Daddy.
Right.
But that style of writing, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And some of it will make you uncomfortable, and some of it's like, you know, there are songs on there that make you uncomfortable, but they're done in a humorous way, which I you know, it's something that I do.
Right.
I don't know if anybody else will appreciate that, if they're like, were you like laughing at this or whatever, but it's like, dude, this is what I do. I'm sorry if it offends you, but yeah, there's a lot of uncomfortable subject matter, and some of it is very serious, and some of it's done in a joking way. There's almost nothing that isn't.
Okay.
In some way confronting. And that's why, and it feels like a Badflower album. It sort of feels like how Okay, I'm Sick did in that way, but I think even more, for me, it feels even more relevant and current, because this one was all written in the span of time post Okay, I'm Sick. Whereas Okay, I'm Sick, some of those songs were written years before and they just made it to the album. This was all just done in this time span. Like, there was nothing old that we brought back. I'm very, very proud of it and excited about it.
Good.
And I think it's our best work by far. Some of the feelers that we put out around, you know, in our camps, like, there's a lot of excitement around it. I think I'm the only one, even out of the band and team members, like management people, I think I'm the only one who's truly like a little bit afraid. But then I have to remind myself, no, you're being honest though. You're being you. So there's not like, you're being completely yourself. And so if somebody wants to like pick it apart and try to come after you, like, which they will, they always do. Mm-hmm. Like, fuck them. Who cares? It's not like they're coming after you and picking something apart that was like pandering, that like wasn't actually your opinion or wasn't actually how you felt. You know, that would be the worst thing. If it was like trying to do something just to fit in or just to satisfy people and then being picked apart, it's like, no, I didn't do any of that. And so, yeah, I feel I'm more excited than anything else. And then, you know, there's personal stuff too that I think is going to be more the focus, you know, when it's like singles coming out. That's what I want to do. We don't have like a set plan yet, but I feel like it's been a while. You know, Ghost was a really big moment for us, and that was years ago now. And since then it's been 30, and I love 30 to death. Don't get me wrong. I'm so proud of that song. I love
What happens
everything.
when you're 31?
Sorry?
What happens when you turn 31?
I think I turned to dust like in Avengers. I think I just I died.
I think you just did because your screen froze.
Oh. But I've been feeling like, am I still frozen?
Yes.
Oh, what do I do? Should I shut off my video and turn it back on?
Oh man, I really should have taken a screenshot because the face you were making was great. You're good now.
Wait. Oh, it's back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the moment that we had with Ghost was like a really special thing. And there's a lot of content on this album that's like that as well. And I personally really want to feel that again. And I want to see if people connect with the new things that I'm saying that are really, really personal to me that aren't the same content exactly as Ghost. It's not like, you know, I'm not just like churning out suicide songs because I know it works. If I'm not feeling that, I'm not going to write that.
Well, you know, the intensity of Badflower songs, I realized, you know, I tried to start dating again, and during a pandemic, which is really stupid. But if the girl said, "Oh God, I love Badflower. They're one of my favorite bands," I'm like, "Okay, well, it's nice to meet you." Just kidding.
That's awesome.
I'm just messing with you. But it was
awesome.
Stupid to try to start dating during a pandemic, just for the record. I don't recommend it.
I haven't done any of that.
I got lonely, man. Live music, it's back, kind of. This is so weird because we did our first one, and it was just with a friend's band. They came to town from Vegas, and we did a show. It was kind of this venue locally called Epic Event Center. Open it up, get a band in there that we all know and trust. And they invited me on stage to play a song, which was fun. But it was so cool, but yet so weird because there's these pods and everybody has to kind of stick to their area. So the bar's not super packed. There isn't giant lines in the bathroom. I'm like, it's a rock show, but it doesn't quite feel like a rock show. What from your end, what are you just excited to get back out and just do it? Or is it nerve-wracking because of that?
We haven't done one yet. So I don't know. I haven't been to one. We haven't played one, so I have no idea what it's like. Do people stand up at least, or are they sitting?
I mean, they were at that one. Again, I have one show experience at this point. You're going to be number 2 when I see you. So
yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, of course, I'm excited to play. I wish it was under different circumstances. Of course, it's going to be a little awkward and uncomfortable, and it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable for the audience too. And I am hoping I can retain whatever charisma I had as somebody who used to perform on stage before the pandemic and just jump right back into it.
Right.
It's been a while since I've like talked to an audience. I don't remember how to do that. And that is like a muscle. It's like, I wasn't always good at it. I think I got good at it, but I have no idea. I just hope that people feel like they're getting their money's worth. And
well, you guys were so, I mean, the crowd at a Badflower show, whether it was watching you guys at something like Aftershock, or whether it was, like the small club at the Rave in Milwaukee, the crowd and you and the band are just so intertwined. Whether it's some kid getting on stage and playing guitar, or it's you jumping in the crowd, or whatever it may be. That's the weird part, I think, for me that I'm curious about, especially for a band like you guys that really, really drove home that intertwined, I don't know the word I want to use here at all, but the intertwining of the crowd and the band.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what there's no plan. Like, we haven't talked about it amongst ourselves. Like, there's no plan. Okay. We're just going to do our best.
You know what? And it will still be fantastic.
Knowing me, I'm going to figure something out. Like, I won't accept defeat. If I feel like just playing up there is just like boring and uncomfortable, like I'll do something. Right. I don't know what, but I'll do something. If I got to get naked, I'll get naked.
I was just going to say, it's going to be Josh in his underwear.
if that's going to like get people, glad they paid the money, because I'll tell you this, our band's not going to sound good.
Yes.
So they have to get their money's worth somewhere.
Sound just fine.
I don't know. Maybe,
But I also know you guys aren't a band that uses all the backing tracks that a lot of bands do. So
We use some.
It'll be real. Well, you have to for certain songs, but
yeah,
there are people out there that use more than they should.
Yeah. No, I'm still singing.
Right.
We're still playing. We just add a couple of other things.
Either way, dude, I think, I don't know, man. I'm glad it's you guys, and for real, just because I know how real and honest you guys are. And I think that'll be good to have that to be one of the first shows back. And for a lot of people, it'll be the first show that they've seen since the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Live music I don't know, man. It just hits your soul so bad. Dude, my friend, a couple friends of mine and I started playing these really small, tiny acoustic gigs in bars. And the first or second one we did, it felt like we were headlining Download Fest in the UK, man. Just to have that energy back. So I think that's gonna feel good for you guys in the crowd. I'm really excited about it.
And I'm sure the crowd is gonna give that too. Like even from their pods, they're gonna do their best. I would assume to like make it feel like a rock show for them as well. Like they don't want to go there and just, nobody would want that. For it to just be like a sit down, boring, okay, now Badflower's playing. Oh, I know this song. Like it can't be like that, right? It can't be.
I hope not.
Oh man, it makes me nervous.
No, it can't be. I mean, maybe for the opener, but not for Badflower.
Oh, those are our friends.
I know. And Goodbye June are so energetic and so good.
Yeah, they're the shit.
I can't imagine it'll be for them either, but that's the joke, because you still have that one group of assholes who are like, "Where's the opening band? I don't care."
Yeah, I'm that asshole when I'm in the audience.
Dick.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually, I'm that asshole with the headliner too. I'm just such an insecure human. I'm just like, I stand cross-armed watching.
Speaking of your friends, the friendship that you guys have created with Dead Poet Society is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love those guys.
To see, obviously them being able to do stuff with you guys at the farm, and they just put out an amazing record and have a song that's starting to kick.
Yes, they did, and yes, they do.
So it's pretty cool to see that kind of cover.
Yeah, and we met each other on Instagram, basically. Like they were following us, I think, and liked something, and then I clicked on their page and I saw a little clip of a song, and I was like, "What is this?" And yeah, that was it. Loved them.
And if I'd have thought of that 45 minutes ago, I would have threw on my Dead Poet Society hoodie for this, just for the fun of it.
Should have.
Which I just got 2 days ago. It's not even washed yet.
Nice. You're gonna get that lint in your hair when you put on the hoodie. That's with this. I haven't washed this yet. I just got it.
There you go. Oh, I like that.
Grandson.
Mm-hmm. I recognize the Death of an Optimist.
Yeah.
The X is on the top. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, man. Dude, I had nothing else really to bring up.
Just how awful everybody is and how sad we all are.
But hopefully not for much longer.
No, it's actually, again, it feels optimistic. I can't wait to write an album that has like I can't wait to talk about something else. You know what I mean?
I thought I just heard my cat digging and stuff.
I can't wait to talk about something else. Like I can't wait to go live some life and have my heart broken and have some, something else to inspire me other than just like this tension from people who I've never met.
What are you gonna do if you get happy and it's time to write album number 3? I would love to write a happy song. Okay.
I just haven't had that inspiration yet. It'd be so cool to write a happy song.
The album number 3 from Badflower is just all positivity, and it's good flower.
Well, look, the thing is, though, if something good happens in my life and I end up a happy person, that's all I will be able to write, I think, or I won't be able to write at all. I don't know. I don't know if I'm good at that. I've never really tried to write a happy song. So I've only ever focused on the negative, which any therapist would tell you is a huge mistake, but that's what I do.
Okay, but wait a minute, though. Any therapist might tell you that, but you're writing, and that's cathartic. So therefore, you're actually getting out those negative feelings. So in reverse, you're actually doing what a therapist would recommend.
Yeah, but then I'm not replacing them with happy ones. I'm just continuing to search out for the negative
Hey man,
ones.
I was really trying to look at the positive of it.
Yeah, well, I don't see it.
Okay, fine.
No, yeah, no, you're right. It is. It is. I always feel that way. I always feel that way writing about the negative stuff, and it has been cathartic and eye-opening. Like, I learn the most about myself writing these kinds of songs.
I can't wait to hear it, dude.
Yeah, I can't wait for everybody to hear it. I'm excited.
I know I'm not supposed to ask, but time frame? I mean, this year? Any ideas? Any clues? Any hints?
It's gonna. We have said literally nothing.
I know you haven't.
But yeah, it's gonna be this year. I don't know when this is going up. Honestly, nobody even told me not to say anything. So
but hold on, because I think somebody actually told me not to say anything because I got a message right before we were supposed to talk from the record label, and I love everybody at that label to death that works on this side of it. That said, hey, when you're done, can you send the conversation before you put it up? I'm like, I know what that means.
And you know what? Somebody's gonna talk to me. It's you like, can you stop being so bleak about like? Can you like, no. Like, have you heard the album? It's no. And you know what? I should stop acting like this because it's not entirely this feeling. It's actually like it will make you smile at times. It'll make you smile just as quick as it makes you cry. Like, it does all of it. I hope if people actually pay attention to it, if they just listen to it for background music, then you're a fake fan. You have to really listen to it because the work was put in for it to be listened to properly.
Run the gamut of emotions. That's what a good record does. It's a good story does.
Yeah.
It does. Period.
Yeah, I think so. That's the thing. Let me just close with that. You will enjoy it, I think. It's still made to be enjoyed. As confronting as it is and as sad and uncomfortable at times, it is still made to be enjoyed by people. Like, I don't think it's not like one of those, sometimes when like some movie comes out and it's like this big Oscar worthy moment and everybody's talking about it and it's like some serious like Sundancey thing and you're like, I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like investing myself into this like over dramatic thing. Like, let me just watch a Marvel movie. It's kind of like that, but then when you finally watch it, you're like, gotta tell all my friends about it,
Not that you're gonna see my scribble, but you'll enjoy it, I think. Quoting Josh Katz.
That'll be on my tombstone.
Every article based off this conversation.
That should be the title of every article.
I never send these out to like Blabbermouth and shit ever. When they get picked up, they get picked up. Whatever. I don't really care one way or the other, But I might, just so that title is used.
It's a pretty great title. Do you remember when before Okay I'm Sick came out, when Ghost was the only song?
Yeah.
And we were in Vegas doing the radio stuff. Like, you were there at all that stuff, right? Yeah. I went around, this is before Okay I'm Sick. I went around telling all these radio people who I was meeting for the first time, you're gonna hate the album.
Oh, I remember specifically. I remember this conversation perfectly. Actually, it was myself and a couple other radio people talking to you, and my ex-girlfriend, and I think another like person that I work with. Yeah, I think Katie was there too. So we're standing there and we're talking to you, and you said that to all of us, and we're laughing. But yeah, you were going around telling everybody that you're gonna hate the record.
Yeah,
like Animal or Soap, they're gonna hate this record,
Considering that's what I said then, this is actually growth for me.
Okay.
To be like, it's bleak, but I think you're gonna like it.
Oh, I love it. You'll enjoy it, I think.
I think you might. Don't show your kids if you're a parent.
Oh my God, Josh Katz.
Just screen it before you show your kids, because everybody parents different. But I saw somebody tweet the other day, like some like a very small child wearing one of our T-shirts or something, and I was thinking like, I hope you listen to this stuff for like, because some of this is like, if I had kids, I wouldn't want them hearing it at a young age. It's just a little too much. Like, it just doesn't need to be.
No, and and my daughter's now 12, and she gets into a lot of the emo stuff. Yeah. She's walking.
Yeah, and it's beyond swearing. Like, swearing, I could give a fuck, but this is just like confronting topics that don't necessarily need to be listened to by.
She can probably hear me talking to you right now, but
don't listen to it.
There are plenty of Badflower songs. She loves you guys, but I did not let her listen to.
Yeah, I think just about every song has the parental advisory stamp on it. I don't think there's a single song I don't swear in on this one. Maybe one.
Even fuck the swearing, the content sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, exactly.
Petty.
The swearing's whatever. It's when the content is like it's not meant for children, clearly. So just be careful to anybody whenever it does come out.
Number 2, Badflower is not meant for children.
No. Even though they are children.
Cutter's Rockcast.
Don't forget to tune in.
Exactly.